Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking something deeply nostalgic and colliding it head-on with the absolute cutting edge of technology. We're talking about taking a beloved children's story, specifically the classic Stickman by Julia Donaldson and Axel Scheffler, and deconstructing it into a fully structured, AI-ready video script. So if you've ever wondered how to take a whimsical tale and actually translate it into the highly technical prompts needed by today's AI video generators, well, you are in exactly the right place. Here's our roadmap for this masterclass on AI video production. We're going to cover analyzing the source material, the misunderstanding loop, scripting the AI prompts, the climax and resolution, and finally, some pro tips for AI video. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Analyzing the source material. Before we even think about generating a single frame, we really need to understand what makes the original story tick.
To kick things off, we have to define our core parameters. Look, if we just start throwing random words at an AI, we're going to get a total mess. We have to be laser-targeted. Our audience here is young kids, toddlers, and parents who are just looking for a great bedtime story. Visually, the original uses these vibrant, classic 2D illustrations. But hey, the magic of AI is that we can completely reimagine this. We could prompt for a lush 3D Pixar style, maybe a soft watercolor look, or even claymation to make our adaptation entirely unique. Tonally, the source material gives us a very clear mandate. The story absolutely must be playful, rhythmic, slightly suspenseful, and ultimately heartwarming. These elements basically act as the guardrails for every single prompt we're going to write.
Moving right along to Section 2, the misunderstanding loop.
So, the core narrative engine that drives this entire story is what we call the misunderstanding loop. It's this repetitive trope that young kids just absolutely love. Every single character Stickman runs into mistakes him for a regular, everyday, inanimate object. Now, this mechanic isn't just a cute story device, it's actually highly functional for AI video production because it gives us a perfectly modular structure for our scenes. We know exactly what kinds of prompts we need: a new character, a new misunderstanding, and a new reaction. It's like a formula. If we track Stickman's journey, we see this build sequentially as he gets further and further away from his family tree. In the morning, he's mistaken for a dog's toy. Then, he's a girl's racing twig in the river. Later on, a swan uses him as a branch for a nest. As the seasons literally change to winter, he becomes a snowman's arm, and finally at night, he's mistaken for firewood. Now, for an AI creator, this timeline is basically your shot list. It tells you exactly how your environments and subjects need to shift, scene by scene by scene.
Which brings us to Section 3, scripting the AI prompts. This is where we learn how to actually instruct the machine.
Notice the stark contrast here in our intro scene. The visual prompt, the one meant for tools like Runway, Sora, or Pika, is incredibly descriptive, literal, and technical. We're talking cinematic shot, old oak tree glowing, friendly stick figure with eyes and leaves on head steps out of tiny door. See? It leaves absolutely zero room for the AI to hallucinate. But by contrast, the audio prompt for the voiceover maintains that warm, poetic rhythm of the source material. Stickman lives in the family tree. So we're basically pairing highly literal visual instructions with very lyrical audio. Take the opening scene with a dog, for example. The AI needs to be told exactly what is physically happening. A playful golden retriever running through a grassy park, spotting Stickman, grabbing him in its mouth, and running around happily. But simultaneously, the voiceover delivers the dog's inner monologue. An excellent stick, the right kind of stick for my favorite trick. The real magic happens when you sync up that highly specific generated video with that generated audio. And that leads directly to Stickman's reaction. This catchy, repetitive dialogue is literally the heartbeat of our explainer. Imagine Stickman wiggling free, dusting himself off, and shouting right at the screen, "I'm not a stick. Why can't you see? I'm Stickman, I'm Stickman, I'm Stickman, that's me." This gives him his voice and really drives home his frustration at being constantly misunderstood by the world. Plus, it's a totally perfect anchor for pacing out your video edits. As we script scenes 2 and 3, the visual prompts really have to maintain the continuity of this crazy, dizzying journey. We'd prompt the AI for a young girl throwing him into a rushing river. Then, a quick transition to an elegant swan picking him up and dropping him into a messy twig nest. Over in the voiceover, he laments heading further away from the family tree and screams, "I'm not a twig." So the AI is handling these dynamic, chaotic environments, like the rushing water or the messy nests, while the voiceover is carrying the entire emotional weight of the journey.
By Scene 4, our AI visual prompts have to execute a massive environmental shift. We're writing a prompt for a montage, showing the seasons changing to winter snow. Then, a prompt for a boy in a colorful scarf actually plugging Stickman into a snowman to use as an arm. This new environment isolates our character even further, right? And the voiceover reflects that growing despair. Stickman, oh Stickman, beware of the snow. Will I ever get back?
All right, Section 4, the climax and resolution. Every great narrative needs a peak.
Scene 5 introduces the fireplace and, surprise, Santa Claus. Stickman is completely weary at this point, tossed into a glowing fireplace as firewood. Now think about it. For a character made entirely out of wood, being tossed into a fireplace creates the ultimate immediate suspense. I mean, the stakes literally could not be higher.
But here, we pivot sharply from suspense to sudden action. Our visual prompt needs to describe chimney soot shaking, then Stickman waking up, pushing against the chimney, and helping pull Santa down with a massive thud. In a split second, Stickman transitions from being a victim of that misunderstanding loop into a literal hero rescuing Santa, and the voiceover matches this triumphant moment perfectly. Ho ho ho, I'm stuck! Stickman, you excellent friend!
To resolve the story, our visual prompts have to ask for pure magic. Santa's sleigh flying through a starry night sky. Finally, we prompt for Stickman dropping down the chimney to his hugging Stick family. The voiceover delivers that super satisfying conclusion, I'm Stickman, that's me, and I'm sticking right here in the family tree. The narrative loop is perfectly and emotionally closed.
So we've got the script and the prompts. Let's hit Section 5, Pro Tips for AI Video and how to actually execute this seamlessly.
Step 1 is pretty much a golden rule in AI video generation. Voiceover first. You really should generate your voiceover using a warm storyteller voice, maybe a classic British narrator style, before you even try to render a single video clip. Using the original video's timestamps as a guide for pacing establishes your timing. Once you have that audio track, you know exactly how many seconds of video you need for the dog, the river, or the fireplace. Step 2 is ruthlessly enforcing visual consistency.
Look, AI is notorious for morphing characters between shots. We've all seen it. To ensure Stickman doesn't look like a completely different piece of wood in every single scene, your text-to-video prompts must include his exact physical descriptors every single time. A minimalist stick figure, small cartoon eyes, and 3 green leaves growing from his head. You literally have to copy and paste those core traits into the visual prompt for the dog scene, the swan scene, the snow scene, every single time. Consistency is absolute king when you're prompting AI.
Now that you've seen the blueprint for breaking down a whimsical narrative into highly technical, actionable prompts and rhythmic voiceovers, you essentially have the tools to be a director in the AI age. You can translate themes, pacing, and visual styles into instructions a machine can actually understand, all without losing the heart of the original story. So, I leave you with this to ponder. Armed with this structured prompt framework, what beloved idea or story will you adapt and bring to life next? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and happy creating!